Hey, welcome back to the Awesome Life podcast. I'm Karen Stelch, your host, and I'm the creator of the Awesome Life Success System, where I help online coaches release the traumas, the issues, and the blocks that are keeping them from living their awesome life. And then we create a path to having a six-figure plus business. In the Awesome Life podcast, though, we are here to help inspire and empower women around the world to be their awesome self. And I have wonderful, awesome guests, of course. Each week I tell you how our guests are even bigger and better in their own areas of expertise. That is so important to having an awesome life so that you can have more focus, more fun, and more financial freedom. Today, I have the most amazing, wonderful Rosalind Sedacca. She is a divorce and co-parenting coach. She's recognized by the Voice of Childhood Divorce. She's the founder of the Child-Centered Divorce Network, which provides valuable resources for parents who are facing, moving through, or transitioning after a divorce. Rosalind is also dating in midlife expert and a dating and relationship coach. She's the co-author of 99 Things Women Wish They Had Known Before Dating, After 40, 50, and yes, 60. Rosalind facilitates workshops on dating and relationships for single women and men, and is a blogger for many websites and blogs on relationship issues. In addition, she hosts the Divorce, Dating, and Empowered Living radio show and podcast. So welcome, Rosalind. I'm so thrilled that you're here with us today.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you.
And tell us, how did you become a divorce and dating relationship mentor in your life? It's something that we all need, especially now, but it's very unusual to find. How did you find this area of expertise?
It wasn't something I was expecting to be doing, but after being married close to 20 years, I was facing a divorce that I was putting off for a long time because I had a son. And when he was 11 years old and he started showing signs of stress from the conflict at home, I knew that I had to move ahead with the divorce. And it was a very intimidating experience. And this was back in the 90s. And so there was much less available to help people go through the process. And I did. I created a very innovative way to break the divorce news to my son. And my ex and I learned how to co-parent him, and we raised him, and we went through the process. And one day when my son was in his early 20s, he was 11 when we divorced, and in his early 20s, he came to me one day, literally out of the blue, and he said, "You know, Ma, you and Daddy did a really good job with the divorce, and I just want to thank you, because most of my friends whose parents divorced either hate their parents or are very angry at them, and I thought you guys were great." And I just let a sigh of relief, because I was holding on to guilt and insecurity about, did I mess my son up through this process? And that was such a relief. And I realized that I had, in fact, learned a lot about going through divorce and co-parenting in a successful way to have this wonderful acclamation from my son, an affirmation from my son. And that became the catalyst for my deciding to become the founder of the Child-Centered Divorce Network, and then become a divorce and co-parenting coach, and start writing several ebooks and e-courses and programs to help parents deal with co-parenting success strategies, anger management issues, breaking the divorce news to the children, and all those related things. And of course, then having been a single mom, I had to go through the process of being in midlife and dating all over again, and going through kissing frogs and trying to find healthy relationship for myself. And ultimately I did that, remarried, and celebrating my 20th anniversary with my second husband.
Wow.
So I wrote a book, 99 Things Women Wish They Knew Before Dating After 40, 50, and yes, 60. And I created a few online programs on dating in midlife for women and for men to get the insights so that they don't have to make the mistakes that I made, and they can go through the process in a much smoother, easier, more wonderful way to get the outcome that they're looking for.
Wow, that is, it's wonderful to see that, and to have your son actually say how grateful he was that
I
you,
know
that's so huge.
it was a surprise, but it meant the world for me. And then when I've been on the stage at a couple of expos, he actually flew in and joined me to answer questions as a child of divorce on the stage. And that was very meaningful for me. And he also wrote the foreword to my book, How Do I Tell the Kids About the Divorce?
Oh, how cool. How cool. So yeah, you have written a lot of books, not just the few that have been mentioned so far. How many books have you written?
Well, I have two print books, and then I have a number of ebooks and e-programs, because I find that people really appreciate something they could instantly download and have access to and then start working with. So that became the process, and it has served me very well, and my clients appreciate it as well.
That is terrific. That is terrific. I remember when my son was going through issues, and my husband and I are still married, but yeah, you have ups and downs. It was a real challenge, to say the least. And I think sometimes it is the best thing for the kids to separate, to go your own ways. It's very important. But I remember telling my son, he was hanging out with people who are all divorced, and you are who you hang out with oftentimes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not good for him, because the kids were kind of confused, upset, messed up. Basically messed up. And I spoke to him once, and I said, I don't know what to do. I was at my wit's end. I said, I don't know what to do for you. Would it be helpful for you, for your dad and I, to get a divorce?
What did he say?
He said, no, Mom, you and Dad are the only things holding me together right now. Okay, that's good, because I really didn't want to divorce your dad, but I love you enough. I would do whatever you needed.
Oh.
And with him too, and with the children, he and his wife, when his son was, I guess 4 or 5, and he and his wife were fighting all the time, and finally his son got between the two of them at age 4 or 5, pushed them apart and said, stop it.
Yeah.
And that is what helped them recognize that it was not good to stay home and stay together for your kids.
Yes, it's
serious.
It can be a huge mistake. People have heard the platitudes so often, you're staying together for the sake of the kids. My own parents did that. My own parents were in a terrible marriage. They fought constantly. My childhood was very sad and filled with anxiety. And they should have divorced, and they made every mistake in the book that divorced parents make without being divorced. So it did me no service having them stay married all those years. And that's why I was so hypersensitive when I started seeing my son showing signs of stress and tension. I knew that he deserved better than that. And life, very often, if the divorce is handled well, is going to be much better for everyone, especially the kids, when they're away from that and when they see role models of happier, healthier relationships. If your parents aren't happily married, what are you learning about how to handle a relationship? What are you learning about communication skills and dealing with tension and respecting one another and fighting in a respectful manner and all of those things? So in many cases, the divorce is a better option, but that's only if the parents know how to handle it well, so that they don't create additional pain and heartbreak for the children.
Well, that's it. That's it. And I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who are in that realm of, no, we need to stay together for the kids. That's all there is to it. And like you say, it isn't always the best thing. And actually, many times it is the worst thing that one can do.
Yeah.
So what are some success strategies that you could offer our listeners for loving yourself enough to move on?
Yeah, that's the key. You have to have a good sense of self-confidence and self-esteem in order to make any decision in life that's going to be meaningful. And you have to be mindful, if you have children, how important it is that every decision takes your children into account. So everything, to me, starts with self-love and self-esteem and making decisions from the inside out. That means being really mindful and aware of what part did I play in this relationship, this marriage that's not going well, that's not doing well. What choices did I make that I should have rethought? What actions did I take that may have created more conflict in our relationship? Why did I choose this person as my partner? And if I was divorced and free to start over again, what would I do differently? If we don't learn the lessons from the divorce, we're only going to repeat them. And many people become serial divorcees. They just go from divorce number 1 to 2 to 3 because they haven't learned anything from the experience. And that is just wasted energy and pain for everyone involved. So you want to really say, what can I do to shift in myself? Do I have anger problems? Do I have insecurity problems, self-esteem problems? Do I have problems in trusting people? Am I not trustworthy? It's important to get coaching from someone who can have the questions to help you answer them and answer them honestly. And then when we make a shift in our perspective, in our attitude about ourselves and about life and about things that we can do, then we're able to start anew as a new person and say, okay, now I know that I will never accept this kind of abusive behavior again. I'll never tolerate someone who treats me like this. I will never behave that way and mistreat my partner. I will be more respectful, or I will demand more respect. Whatever side of the equation it's on, and usually we play a part on both sides of the equation, positive and negative, in the relationship, it's important to look within and be very honest with ourselves and learn and say, from now on, I will never let this kind of abuse into my life. And I will never attract someone into my life who's going to treat me in such a way that is damaging for me or my children. And if you don't do that, if you're not aware of it, and if you don't pinpoint those specific things that you can change, then nothing's going to change in your life, no matter how many new relationships you have. And that's what we see too often. And it's very sad, because it can be done differently if you're guided in that right direction.
And that's why everyone needs a coach, isn't it? For whatever purpose might be necessary at the time. And they
Absolutely.
have responsibility. And I love the fact that when you were talking about self, you were not just saying going into self and I deserve to go out and have a massage. I deserve better. I deserve this. Well, yes, we all deserve to be happy. We're put on this earth to be happy and prosperous. That's why we're here, and to enjoy life. That's why we're here. That's what the Awesome Life Success is all about. And if you're not in that realm, it is important to look at it. And I love the fact that you are in your coaching, helping all of these people recognize that it is on both sides, perhaps, but you can't change anyone else. You can only control yourself. So you have to know what yourself is doing.
Exactly. And that's such a pivotal point, because I think women especially, we spend too much of our lives trying to change the other people around us. And it's very hard to look within and say, what can I change about me, since I'm the only one I could really change? What do I need to do differently and change? And once you realize that you have the power to do that, and how powerful it is to make those shifts, whether they're small or large, then you realize that you can reinvent your life and move forward in a healthy new way. And only when we feel healthy about ourselves do we attract healthy relationships into our lives. That's really the key.
It is when you start letting go and recognizing what your part in it is, and not beating yourself up over it, but making the choice to make that change, finding the resources to make that change, and making a decision that perhaps the situation you're in is definitely not the best place to be, and you deserve more. That's all there is to it. Yeah. So tell me, sometimes, like I was a major people pleaser and self-doubter. And when things were brought to my attention, sometimes I would say, dang it, why didn't I know that? Of course I know that. And I should have known better. And then way too long into a relationship, I realized that no, it's not me. It's them. It's them with their insecurities, their unhappiness with the situation, with their lack of knowledge of how to do things in a loving way, perhaps. So what red flags do you have that you could tell our listeners about, that are really warning signs to wake up and make better choices? And if you have divorced, if you are looking for another person, especially in midlife, because that's the most challenging thing.
Right.
My clients have come to me many times with, dang it, I need more, and I don't know what to do. I said, I wish I had known you at that point. I was like, go see Rosalind, but I didn't. Now we have the resources, and that's why I want to have you on the show. But what are some red flags?
And that's such an important question. So thank you for asking it. Number one, anyone who's abusive in any way, whether it's verbally abusive, physically abusive, or sexually abusive, that's definitely a warning sign. No one deserves to be mistreated in that way. If you're feeling disrespected and you can't be your authentic self around that person, and you have to change yourself and your energy to please that person, that's a warning sign that you're with someone who isn't a good choice of a partner. Anyone who's overly controlling or intimidating, who things have to be their way or else it doesn't work. And so you suddenly find yourself being manipulated and controlled, and there's rules and there's shoulds, and there's ways that you have to behave to meet their criteria. Not a healthy relationship at all. Anyone who's too quick to anger. Everyone is charming in the first few dates and the first few months. Things are wonderful when you're in love and the romance. But when you get to know someone better, suddenly they're getting angry too quickly for too small of an experience. That's a very bad sign to be with someone like that. You want to really feel loved and respected. And also there are partners who come on too soon telling you that they love you and wanting to move into the next stage and being in a relationship with you. When someone comes on too soon and they sound too good to be true, they usually are. There are con people who are very experienced at doing that and sweeping a woman, especially off her feet, telling them all kinds of things. And you have to be very aware that no one falls in love instantaneously like that, and you need to take your time. I always tell clients that until you've seen your partner when they're sick or when they were fired or some other drama happened in their life and how they behave then, that's when you get an idea of what they're like, because some people are just on, their personalities are just delightful, and they change dramatically once you make a commitment into the relationship. So all of those things are signs that you need to be aware. Am I falling into this again? Am I being taken advantage of, exploited? Am I changing who I am in order to be in this relationship? Some women believe you have to do that because they have so low self-esteem, they don't honor their own selfness. And it gets back to the first thing we talked about, is loving and acknowledging yourself so that you can have a relationship in which you feel that you're being honored and respected.
That is so, so key, because if you do not feel respected, it just is not, it's not an enjoyable.
Yes.
And sometimes what I have found, I don't know if you found it at all, Rosalind, is that sometimes when you finally stand up and say, this is not okay, and I am going to love myself, respect myself, and if you don't, I'm out of here.
Mm-hmm.
You see that they change as well.
Yes, that's very true. That's what happens.
But if they don't change, something else needs to happen.
Yes. Yeah. And we have to be confident enough in ourselves and willing to let go of that relationship and lose it. And for some people, it's so hard to be alone or let go of a relationship that they will tolerate abuse or tolerate mistreatment for months and years. And it's very sad, because when you stand up for yourself, very often either that person will change or you'll get the courage to move on and say, I deserve better.
Yeah.
And open the door for a healthier partner to come along.
And make the plan. And sometimes it takes, the support to make the plan to move ahead. Once you've made the decision, then it's time to take some action. And it's not instantaneous. It's not overnight. It is some time to really think about the problems that might arise and what you are doing about it.
And some people don't even know what a healthy relationship looks or feels like because they've never been in one.
That's true. They did not grow up with one. They've never been in one. Their friends that they hung out with were never in them. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So being able to find somebody like you, Rosalind, to be a great coach and support and a counselor for kids in particular. For me, it's all about the kids.
Yeah.
Our kids are our future. And if they are not feeling loved and accepted and supported, our future is a bit of an issue.
And that gets very complicated when you're a single parent who's dating and out in the singles world again, and you're looking for a compatible partner. Mm-hmm. You have to take into account, I have children, and you can't just be dating the same way someone who doesn't have children would be dating. So there's a whole other level of complication that comes into play.
And there's also a fear factor, isn't there, in that? I know one of my clients actually has somebody who appears to be perfect in every way, shape, and form. And she has children. And she met this person after she was divorced. but she's afraid to commit to this other person.
Yeah.
Are there ways to know when you have a keeper that you can hang on to?
Yes, yes. And one of the first ways is to know that you feel totally yourself when you're around that person. Whenever you're spending time, you don't have to change and manipulate your personality into getting their approval or anything else. You just feel loved and respected and supported. They're a soft shoulder to land on or cry on, and a healthy relationship partner is a best friend. They're just someone that you could talk to and be yourself with all the time. And some people have never had a relationship partner who's like that. So that's a very important key point, is finding someone who you could be yourself with. Also, a healthy relationship partner, usually your friends and family like that person. You usually get a lot of thumbs up, a good choice. Be mindful of the feedback you get from friends and family, because sometimes when you have a loser, you don't want to hear it, and other people are saying things about them, but you're so enamored, you're so in love, you don't want to hear it. And usually a healthy relationship partner is someone that everyone is going to feel good about. Yeah. They're also someone that you are connecting with on more than just the romance and sex part, that your time with them is valuable and meaningful beyond just the sexual chemistry. When we were young, we were so caught up in the sexual chemistry, we overlooked a lot of things in relationships. And now we have much more wisdom to realize that there's more to life than just that. And so you want to be aware of that. And you want to find someone who is treating you with the respect that you deserve at all times. And so you don't have to change yourself or feel uncomfortable in sharing what you're feeling and wanting to do. And another important quality is having a shared vision of the future, especially in midlife, as we're looking ahead into the kids are out of the house, and what am I going to do after retirement, and what am I going to do in my older years? You want someone who shares the vision. And that may mean having some really keen discussions, because some people want to travel and see the world and get out there and do things they've never done before in this part of their life. And the partner may be a homebody. I want to stay home and I want to visit the grandkids and just do that. So if your visions aren't in sync, then that's an important thing to understand at this early point before you get too involved, because you do want to have a shared vision. And synchronization in values is very important, because we overlook values, again, when we're very young and we don't think about them, but spiritual values, moral values, ethical values, just beliefs in this along the same line in synchronicity, where again, there's mutual respect, goes a long way in creating a healthy relationship. And also having fun and a sense of humor. You should be having a good time with that person most of the time. We're never 100% in a fabulous mood every day of our lives. And so there's going to be ups and downs in life, as there always is. But for the most part, this relationship should be joyful and positive and happy for you. And if it is, then that's a very good sign that you found a keeper as well, that most of the time you just like being together and around one another.
It's a comfortable thing. And do you think I'm wondering, once you have, I'm talking from the woman's side, once you've made the decision to split from a relationship that is not healthy, not helpful, getting divorced, finding somebody new, and they are wonderful, all of the things that you have said. Is there a way to, but you have become so strong in your own, maybe you're a little more dominating. Are there any red flags to show that maybe you are the dominator now, as opposed to your former spouse?
Well, that's a great question because, we talked before about being with a controlling partner, how negative that is.
Yeah.
If you're the controlling partner, it's negative for your partner who may not want to stay with you for a long term. We have to understand that the only one we could change in life is ourselves, and the only one we can control in life is ourselves. And so we have to have respect enough for a partner to let them do what they're doing and be who they are. Now, having healthy conversation is important in relationship communication. Talking about things that bother you or that concern you and worry you is a natural part of a relationship. But when you become controlling and manipulative and insist that if you're going to be with me, then you have to do this, that, and the other thing, then you're not being a healthy partner yourself.
Yeah.
We all want autonomy, and we're all different. A relationship partner is not a clone. No two people are alike. And just like with our kids, we've had to accept differences in our kids' personalities, differences from the way we view the world. It's not easy, but you have to do that as a parent. And it's the same thing with a love partner. We have to be as accepting as we can and keep focusing on the fact that I need to work on me. Because if my focus is changing you and working on you, then it's never a healthy relationship. And it's never fulfilling because it takes a lot of work to control and manipulate another person. And there's not a lot of joy and peace in your life when you're focused in that direction. It's hard enough for us to work on ourselves, don't you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is an awareness. It is the first thing in awesome is to be aware and allow the differences and appreciate those differences for how they interact, how they connect, how they create a one. And it's or not.
Well, and I always try to bring myself back to remembering that there are lessons in life that we're constantly able to learn if we want to, and that some people choose not to learn anything. But I try to look for the lessons in life. And if you do, they're there. They're there on a daily basis. And if we could just see certain things and say, okay, I know I want to fix this, or I want to tell them what to do, but I can't because it's not my business to control their life. What do I need to learn about this, and how can I approach it differently? Then the onus is going back to my doing the inner work and not making myself responsible for what my partner is doing. And that works in parenting as well as in love relationships with a partner.
It's all about the conversation in a loving and honest way that is coming from the heart and not because I said so.
Yeah, well said. Yes.
I love that. So how can people get in touch with you? Your work is so amazing and so important. I can't stress the importance.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. On the divorce side, and the co-parenting goes long after divorce. It could be years after divorce that we're talking about co-parenting issues. Then childcentereddivorce.com has all my information, a free ebook on co-parenting success strategies. Tons of books and courses and programs are all at childcentereddivorce.com. And on the dating after divorce, if you go to womendatingafter40.com, that's 40, womendatingafter40.com, you'll find a free ebook on answers to your most asked questions on dating and relationships. And my Create Your Ideal Relationship Kit is available there as well.
Oh,
and at mensdatingformula.com, I have a e-course for men that's available. And what's different about that program is it talks about what women are looking for in a relationship with men. Men talk to themselves and they're not getting any insights about what it's like for the woman. And I think when men understand what women are looking for, it may surprise them very often, and it may give them the ability to relax and let go and be more authentically themselves with women as well.
That is wonderful, because it's both sides, and it's all about understanding. And you can't say, well, men are like this, women are like that, all women, all men. No, everyone is different, and it is learning how to communicate, isn't it?
You're so right about that. I hate when people do that, all men are this. A lot of women sabotage their love life by starting out with that mindset.
Yeah.
Because if you believe that, then you're already not trusting and in fear and in anxiety. And no wonder you're not attracting anyone healthy into your life. And then you say, well, I've dated all these idiots. Well, we create the energy that attracts things into our life. And so we have to make a shift within before the outside is going to shift, and we're going to attract a healthier kind of a partner.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love that. So all of this information will be in the show notes down below here, and you'll be able to see this beautiful Rosalind Sedacca on YouTube, but also on our podcast. You can download this podcast and carry it with you. All of the show notes will be there. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. But before we go, do you have any last words for our audience?
Well, remember that this is your life, and you can shift and change it any moment of any day if you choose to. But the change and shift has to do with coming from us within, and not pointing the finger outside of us and trying to change someone else to make our lives work better. Once we grasp that, we are empowered to do almost anything and recreate lives in a much better, healthier way. And that's a real blessing for ourselves.
It truly is. And that's what the Awesome Life podcast is all about, is empowerment, inspiration. And you are such an inspiration to our listeners. Thank you so much for joining me. And
thank you.
Until next time, I look forward to seeing you and talking again.